Some businesses succeed, some don't. Then there are those that seem to have been around forever. The true entrepreneurial success story. How did they do it? What was their vision? What makes a success? In this special episode for Eye on Annapolis, we speak with the true success stories, those business owners that have been around for decades, learn from their successes and failures. Now, here's host John Fernay.
We are here at the I'm not going to say not even arguably, the most beautiful spot in Annapolis. We're at Carrol's CreekCafe, right on the shores of Spa Creek. And we're with Jeff Jacobs, who is the owner of Carrol's Creek. And I would say happy birthday to you, but it's not you, but it's your restaurant is celebrating 35 years. Carrol's CreekCafe, one of my favorite restaurants. I mean, probably to your dismay, it's not an everyday restaurant for me. It's a treat to come here.
Well, we realize that we are a special occasion and that we are not everybody's just run out and grab dinner. But that's part of what we are, and we realize that. And
it is a special occasion when you come here. I mean, the food, I have never had a bad meal or a drink here. And it's just a great location. I do recommend if anybody has never been here, come on down. It is right on Severn Avenue.
Correct.
Right at the foot of we want to call it the Spa Creek, the Eastport Bridge.
Eastport Bridge. Sure.
Argue it with whatever it is. But you're celebrating 35 years. Now, where did Carrol's Creek get its start? Have you always been here?
So Carrol's Creek, yes, is the first tenant here in the Annapolis City Marina. It started when my father, who was one of the original partners, was involved with another restaurateur here in town. And
who was that, can you say?
That was Jerry Hardesty
of
Middleton Tavern. And so my father was doing some legal work for him at the time, and I know Jerry found out that this building was being built and there was going to be a restaurant space, but he needed some help and maybe some clout to get into doing something here in this complex. My father had already a relationship with the owners of the complex. It came to be that my father, to get this space, had to be involved with the business. So he started in here strictly as a silent partner. So that's how they opened the restaurant in '83.
So this was was Jerry Hardesty involved in the original opening of it?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's fascinating. And your father has a legal background?
Yes, he's an attorney and has practice in Maryland since before me.
Forever. Wow. And where does your background as the owner and the operator of Carrol's Creek, where does your background come in the restaurant business?
So my background is when we opened in '83, it came down here in my spare time and my first summer of working.
Okay, I'm trying to do the math. You said you just turned 50, so I mean you're probably 17, 18?
Oh, no, I was 15.
15, okay.
Yeah. So, but coming to the restaurant and getting just told what to do and where to start. So my first job was picking cigarette butts out of the deck out of the deck outside. And then I guess we're going to open that day. What do we do with them now? Well, we'll throw them in the dish room and let them wash dishes for a while. So it was that working in the restaurant and starting to get moved around all the different positions, which might sound not so glamorous, and at the time it wasn't very glamorous, but it gave me a glimpse of what this business was all about, especially on the backside, the side that people don't see. So as much as it was not my favorite thing to do when I was 15 years old, washing dishes and doing some of the prep work in the kitchen, but learning all those things is invaluable to how the business runs, and then dealing with the employees that will eventually be under me, to understanding what their jobs are, their challenges, what makes things easy for them, what makes things difficult for them. By coming up in this business and doing every job here gives me a pretty good understanding of everybody's position and how to deal with that.
Well, in 35 years, you probably, had some turnover of employees. And, I think you gain an awful lot of respect when they say, yeah, I remember you when you were picking cigarette butts out of the deck cracks.
That's exactly right. People come back all the time and stop in, and you were my busboy. You were the dishwasher when I was here. You were my bar back. It's.
Did you ever ask him how good you were? Or don't we want to go there?
I think, the difficult thing was, I'm sure other people in the same position can attest to, it's being the owner's son, you feel like you've got to do a good job.
Right.
So I think you have to go above and beyond to make
I was
sure
going to say, you
there's
probably have to
not
do a
that,
good job and then some.
right. You don't want that stereotype of, that, oh, this person, is sliding by because they're the owner's kid.
Now, when Jerry Hardesty opened it with your father as a silent partner, how did it become into the Jacobs family solely? Did you just buy him out, or just?
Yeah, so they got to, I'm trying to think, it was somewhere around 1990 or so, and my father and Jerry just discussed that their partnership between the two probably wasn't the best thing, and that I think at the time my father really didn't, since he wasn't a restaurateur, he didn't mind if Jerry bought him out or if my father bought Jerry out. It didn't really matter, but I think they wanted to go their separate ways, and it just worked out that my father bought Jerry out.
Okay. You've got some employees that have been here forever.
Yes.
You're going on 35 years, so that's and that also speaks to the value, the experience of a restaurant is when you come in and you may not see the same server time and time again, but just to know that there's not this constant churn. I mean, you go to McDonald's and it's,
right.
It's 12 o'clock. We need to hire somebody else.
And we're, I think we're blessed in a way of where our price point is, what our servers, their environment they're working in, the people they're dealing with. I think that it's a good environment for them, and they make, I'm not going to say they make a lot of money. I think the ones that do it in the part-time and the ones that dedicate themselves doing it full-time, they're happy with what they make as a server here. And so that, in turn, gives them the longevity. I mean, we've got, from the serving staff, I've got a waitress that's been with us over 30 years. I've got probably, if I had to average our yearly full-time wait staff, we're probably in, I would say, 7 years as an average, and that's
significant
for a big place like this. I mean, I know there's smaller places around that their staff doesn't change much from year to year, and they're not seasonal like we are, where we're doubling our wait staff in the summer. But for a large place like this, I think it's awesome that we've had that staff here for a long time. It helps them get new people up and running, because we are, like I said, we do have to double our wait staff to get our deck open for the summer. So having a bunch of people here that have been here so long and understand what we do, how we do it, the level of service that we like to provide, it makes it easier. And that just all, it all comes full circle. It all makes things easier on everybody, and I think makes a better environment that people want to.
Where are we now? Okay, we've founded it. We've moved on. I mean, and when did you come in to be the owner operator as this, and how have we grown into what we are today?
So the story progresses. I worked here all the way through my college years. Came back every summer.
Where'd you go to school?
Towson State.
Okay.
Or Towson University.
Towson University now. My son just graduated from there a couple of years ago.
So I took a business degree there, not knowing. I mean, it's hard to put all your eggs in one basket or know fully what your career is going to be. So I took business management, something that would equate into this. And again, not knowing until you really do it after college and get into something full time, do you really say, it's a career I want to take, or maybe this is not a career I want to take. But luckily for me, it's something that I really liked. I like working with the people. I like the location we're in. It all has worked.
Now, here's a question for you. You're coming out of Towson with a business management degree. Are you a restaurateur or are you a business owner? And I think there's a difference. I mean, do you run this as a business? I mean, obviously you do, but I mean, your mindset, is it more focused as this is a business? It doesn't matter that we're selling, wonderful meals on the banks of Spa Creek or inflatable boats for.
I probably say I'm definitely more of the business guy. The business end of it is how to make it efficient, how to use technologies to help us with efficiencies, the staff training and things like that. I'm not the creative side of it so much.
So you're not designing recipes and.
No, I'm telling the chef what I like and what I don't like, or what I think, sometimes fits into the menu design as a whole. I'm looking at things to say, look, we've got one section of our of our cooking line making 5 different entrees and another section of our line making 1 entree. We need to be efficient on how to move these things around to make the kitchen work better. But I'm not really the person that's coming up and saying, design this protein with pasta and this sauce and that. No, I rely on the creativity of our chefs to come up with those types of things that they then bring to us. And it's really a collaborative between our general manager, who is much more of a foodie than I am, and he's been with us over 30 years also.
Oh, wow.
He was actually, back up 2 seconds, Richard McClure is who kept me in college when things dissolved between my father and Jerry. I was in college at the time. My father had never operated the restaurant, and Richard McClure was the general manager between here and Middleton's Tavern. And so it was really him being offered to come here solely is what kept me in school that semester for not having to leave and come down and try to operate until we got a general manager in here that had experience and could run things.
And he's still here today.
Still here today. Yep.
And that certainly goes to speaks to your business acumen and your management that they're sticking around. And do you find as a business owner, I know I used to own several travel agencies and I had a great manager. I know I could go away for 3 weeks and know that she would make absolutely 95% of the same decisions I would make, and I would feel totally comfortable with anything that she would do. Is that the type of relationship you have with Richard?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, he ran this business and had more. I mean, I was just a college kid at this point. So he ran the business when there was no one else, and fully ran it. Again, my father was an attorney. He was not a restaurateur. He learned very quickly about the business, but it was not his background. And with between Richard and the other staff, you talk about leaving. I left about 5 years ago. I took off 3 months and took my family across country. We took a motorhome and did the whole country.
Nice.
But it was that feeling and that knowing that things were going to operate just the way they would if I was here, that gave me the comfort level to do that.
Now, has Carroll's Creek always been the same size, or have you expanded over the years?
Carroll's Creek's always been the same footprint. In 2004. We renovated the front half of the restaurant. We had done the kitchen the year before. But the main difference was we moved our bar that was out more on the waterfront side, more towards the back of the restaurant. It wasn't too many years in where really what we discovered is we were going to be a restaurant that had a bar as opposed to a bar that had a restaurant. And so the restaurant was where we were growing the business, and we really know that we need to highlight the restaurant. And everybody that walks in the door says, we're celebrating our X anniversary, our birthday, whatever it is, can we have a table with a view? And so the whole
now you've got tons of tables. With
now
this.
We went from 4 to I think 14 directly on the water, and every other table being able to see out. Also, the bar was a big blockage to the view.
Now, have you ever thought about expanding, going on to a second restaurant, or like opening up a Taco Bell or something?
I mean, this is a big operation. I mean, we get up to 100 employees in the summer. I've thought about it, but I haven't gotten myself to this place where I feel like I could just be happy opening more, and then I guess I feel like I would lose a little bit of control individually over some of the businesses. But I joke around with people, 1 ulcer is enough for me.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I hear. Well, you guys have been a tremendous community, I don't want to say partner, but I mean a benefactor throughout the years. What's your favorite item on the menu, your personal favorite? Do you have one? Or is that like asking, which is your favorite kid?
No, there's my favorite menu item is definitely going to be easier than my favorite kid. Probably our scallops appetizer, and it's 2 jumbo scallops. They wrap it in what's called kataifi, and I'm probably saying that name wrong. But what it is,
that's the businessman in you coming out.
That's right. It's a shredded phyllo, and then they're deep fried, and then they saute spinach and crab, and then make this awesome shrimp sauce. It's It's one of those items that the flavor, the texture, everything comes together. And that's, to break off for a second, that's sometimes the hardest part of menu design for the chefs. Things can taste wonderful individually, but they don't taste right together. And that is just a dish where you get the crunchiness of the shredded phyllo. The presentation is amazing. The scallops look like they're in little birds' nests. It just has everything. And again, that's a big challenge for, presentation, taste, flavor, texture. It's just one of those dishes that all comes together in that. So that's probably my favorite thing on the menu. And it's something that I've never seen anywhere else.
Well, it's always good when there's a signature type of an item.
Right.
Is there something that you know that you couldn't have but you would want to have on the menu personally? Do you have something like a hot dog? I mean, I don't know. Is there...
So I'm actually a simple eater. I mean,
that's funny because this is I'm going to say this is probably one of the more eclectic presentation wise and the way you mix food restaurants in town.
Right. I don't know what I'd put on the menu.
No,
just for me. Chicken wings, a couple different burgers. I don't know.
There you go. I was talking to the chef at the South River Golf Club, and I asked him. I said, "When you go to a restaurant, what do you look for?" He says, "I'll always order the burger." Because if they can't do the burger right, there's no need in looking at everything else.
Sure.
And it's I was talking to a beer person, and they said, "Well, I always go in and I always go for a Pilsner because if a craft brewery can't get the Pilsner right, there's no sense in looking for anything else. We're just kind of done." And I'm like, okay, that's a legitimate kind of a
makes perfect sense.
It really does. So what's next? Where's the future look for Carrol's Creek?
The future is just trying to understand what's trendy, what our population looks like that comes in the door. I mean, the different concentrations now for the younger generation are maybe not what it was when we opened up, or for our parents' generation, the things that they find important, whether it's more non-GMO, locally sourced, some of those types of things people are spending more time looking at. So we are trying to also align ourselves with those types of things that are important to what our future generations are going to want out of us. I mean, we're blessed to be here in this location, which is obviously part of our success. I mean,
without a doubt. I mean, people say, hey, I love all the waterfront restaurants in Annapolis. I said, okay, name them. I mean,
right.
and there aren't. I mean, you've got Putzer's Chart House and Carrol's Creek. I mean, what about Cantler's? I said, okay, I'm not going to call them Annapolis.
Right.
And this is probably the one that is closest to the water. And Anne Arundel County in general does not have too many on the water.
Waterfront real estate's expensive, and that's a reality. Sometimes people go, "You might be a little bit expensive." I say, "Well, you're right, but it's all relative. Do you live on the water? No, that waterfront house is too expensive. Well, I've got to pay to be here to be on that waterfront, and that
but commercial real estate's cheap,
and that has its challenges."
Before we got talking, we were talking about the French onion soup, and I do love the onion soup here. That's always a great treat in winter,
definitely
for me, anyhow. And you had mentioned Restaurant Week. For those that have not ever made it to Carrol's Creek, Restaurant Week is a good time to give it a try.
Restaurant Week, it's really, I would say, one of my favorite things that we do, not just for the restaurant, but for the town itself. When Restaurant Week was getting going, I was kind of on the makeshift board of putting that together, and I think it's an awesome thing for the town, and it gives people that opportunity to come out to places that they've never tried. It gives the restaurants the ability to maybe push the envelope a little bit, to make somebody want to come there. We try to go above and beyond with our menu, looking at it, because I say it's the only time someone's going to have our menu right on their computer screen next to somebody else's menu. And so you've got to make them
That's
choose.
An interesting perspective. I never thought about that.
I just gave away my biggest secret, But it's true. You will never have, on that scale, that many people looking to dine and comparing you to somebody else. So we spend a lot of time talking about the menu design for that week to make sure that what we're putting out and what we have is really, trying to draw somebody in here.
Well, I will say that, aside from a few restaurants, and you're obviously one of them, I've always thought for a long time, and it's changed now, but Annapolis was sort of like this wasteland of mediocre food. There have been some restaurants that have come in that have really upped the game. And I think that's a great thing. I would love to see Restaurant Week maybe expand a little bit into a second week, because I look at it just like you had mentioned. I get it. I look at the list and I go, wow, we've never been to here. Let's go check this out. Again, you look at price point. I mean, we're all consumers.
Right.
And I was in Boston one time, and I ended up getting a recommendation for a steakhouse, and I ended up having a single person myself, having like 2 drinks, a steak dinner. It was like $130, and I was like, ouch. But I loved it. It was great. I'm not going back tomorrow, but I'll go back, once a year or something like that. But that's something maybe I can't afford to go to wherever it is. But you know what? For $30 or $35 or whatever it is for the 3-course dinner that they offer through Restaurant Week, or maybe it's the lunch.
Right.
Is a fantastic way to really get the taste of Annapolis. And for those that aren't aware, Annapolis has really upped its game on food. And I mean, I think, I'll credit, you and a few others to really sort of leading that charge as being here since the 1980s. So that's kind of crazy. Anything else that, any other secrets that you need? There's no secret menu, is there?
There's no secret menu.
I can't ask for like a number 13 meal or anything like that?
No, there's no secret menu. We have done things when someone's come in and say, we used to have this dish or that dish. If the chef has, if it's the same chef, and we've had a lot of long-term chefs, we've been able to put something back together and recreate it for somebody, time permitting. But no, there's no secret In-N-Out burger menu here.
Just out of curiosity, from a restaurant point of view, do you find that sound like a Burger King commercial, but special orders, I would like this dish but prepared a little bit differently, or I would like it with this, or substitutions. Is that much more prevalent now than it was before?
I don't know if the substitutions are as prevalent that I've seen over my history here as to the different food allergies and intolerances and things people are watching what they eat and how they eat. And sometimes the substitutions, I think, are dictated by someone's trying to be gluten-free or an allergy that they knew about. And luckily, because we cook everything pretty much from scratch, we have the ability to omit different things when preparing those items. So I can't say we can do it to everything. Once a sauce is prepared, whatever ingredients were in there for that sauce, it's done for the night. But whether it's taking something and no added salt or spices to, from the initial cooking side, a lot of those things we can pretty easily handle.
I mean, as long as you let your server know, or you can pretty much accommodate a lot of...
We always appreciate people reading the menu, understanding at least what we've put on the menu, knowing we can't put every single item on there, but it's always appreciated to letting your server know what you don't like, what you have an intolerance to, or what you have an allergic reaction to. I'd rather know those types of things going in, and it helps us keep them safe too.
Yeah, ambulances out front are never good for any business. That's for sure there. Come eat at Carroll's Creek, and you change your menus up periodically.
We do. We try to be seasonal, roughly 2 times a year, and look at the different seasonal variations. And our next menu will be again a little more tilted to us going nut-free.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Chef Jacobs. Come eat at Carroll's Creek, and happy birthday on 35 years. That's a wonderful milestone.
Thanks for listening to this special podcast for Ion Annapolis. Please be sure to visit ionannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinions. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Ion Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you your local news direct to your phone or tablet every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Subscribe on iTunes or Google Play.